Jacob and Esau's story is one of intense family conflict, complex relationships, and a remarkable unfolding of God's grace despite human failings. Their story, found in the book of Genesis, provides deep lessons about family rivalry, deception, reconciliation, and divine purpose. Through their lives, we see how God's plans are realized even when people out of selfish motives and despite deep-seated conflicts within families. Jacob and Esau were born to Isaac and Rebekah, the second generation in the line of Abraham's covenant with God. Before their birth, Rebekah felt unusual movement within her womb and sought God's guidance. God revealed that she was carrying two nations within her, and that the older would serve the younger. This prophecy foreshadowed the conflict that would mark their lives and hinted at the unconventional path through which God's promise would unfold. Esau, the firstborn, emerged covered in red hair, leading to his name, which means hairy. Jacob followed, holding on to Esau's heel, a gesture that would later reflect his actions in securing the birthright and blessing meant for the firstborn. Jacob's name, meaning heel grabber or supplanter, would become symbolic of his approach to life. As the boys grew, their distinct personalities became apparent. Esau was a skillful hunter, favored by Isaac, while Jacob was a quiet man who stayed close to home, favored by Rebekah. Parental favoritism likely fueled tension between the brothers, setting the stage for conflict. One significant incident occurred when Esau, exhausted from the field, encountered Jacob cooking stew. Driven by immediate hunger, Esau impulsively asked Jacob for some stew. Jacob seized the opportunity to propose a trade, the stew in exchange for Esau's birthright. Esau agreed, saying, "I am about to die. What good is the birthright to me?" This impulsive decision showed Esau's disregard for his birthright, which was not only a familial inheritance, but also a spiritual blessing tied to God's promises to Abraham. By selling his birthright, Esau demonstrated a lack of regard for the spiritual importance of his position. Years later, as Isaac grew old and blind, he decided to bestow his blessing on Esau, intending to pass on the covenantal promise. Rebekah, however, remembered God's prophecy and intervened to ensure that Jacob, her favorite son, received the blessing. She devised a plan for Jacob to deceive his father. While Esau was out hunting, Jacob disguised himself by covering his arms with goatskin to mimic Esau's hairy appearance and wearing Esau's clothes to carry his scent. Isaac, though suspicious, ultimately believed Jacob's deception and bestowed the blessing upon him, saying, "May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers." This blessing solidified Jacob's place in the covenantal lineage. When Esau returned and discovered that the blessing had been taken, he was heartbroken and furious. He pleaded with Isaac for a blessing of his own, but Isaac could only offer a lesser blessing. Esau's anger turned into a desire for revenge, vowing to kill Jacob once their father passed away. Hearing of Esau's intent, Rebekah urged Jacob to flee to her brother Laban's household in Haran, far from Esau's reach. While fleeing, Jacob encountered God in a dream. He saw a ladder reaching to heaven, with angels ascending and descending. God appeared to Jacob, affirming the covenant he had made with Abraham and Isaac, promising him land, numerous descendants, and his continued presence. This divine encounter reassured Jacob of God's favor and protection, even as he was leaving home under difficult circumstances. Jacob marked the place with a stone, naming it Bethel, or House of God. In Haran, Jacob faced challenges and learned lessons of his own. He met his cousin Rachel and fell in love with her, but Laban, Rachel's father, deceived Jacob by substituting Leah, Rachel's sister, on their wedding night. Jacob worked 14 years for Laban to marry Rachel, experiencing his own dose of deception. During his time with Laban, Jacob's wealth increased, and he fathered many children, laying the foundation for the 12 tribes of Israel. After 20 years in Haran, God instructed Jacob to return to Canaan. Jacob knew this meant facing Esau, whose anger he had fled. As he journeyed back, he prepared for a potential confrontation with Esau, sending gifts to pacify him and dividing his people and possessions into two camps, hoping at least one would survive if Esau attacked. That night, Jacob wrestled with a mysterious man until daybreak. This wrestling match symbolized Jacob's internal struggle, and he emerged with a limp but with a new identity, Israel, meaning he struggles with God. Jacob's encounter with God left him both humbled and strengthened, ready to face his brother. When he finally saw Esau approaching with 400 men, Jacob approached with humility, bowing 7 times. Esau, however, surprised Jacob by running to meet him with an embrace. They wept together, showing genuine reconciliation. Esau graciously accepted Jacob's gifts and refused to take revenge. Though they would not live close together afterward, this reunion allowed both to move forward in peace. The story of Jacob and Esau teaches us about family conflict, forgiveness, and the sovereignty of God's plans. Jacob's actions show the consequences of deceit and manipulation, yet we also see his growth and maturation. Esau's willingness to forgive reflects a transformation in him as well, showing that forgiveness and reconciliation are possible even after deep wounds. Throughout the story, God's grace is evident. Despite Jacob's deceit and Esau's impulsiveness, God's covenantal promises persist. God chose Jacob not based on his merit, but on his divine purposes, showing that his plans cannot be thwarted by human failings. Jacob and Esau's journey reminds us of the importance of valuing spiritual blessings, the power of forgiveness, and the assurance that God's purposes are accomplished even in our brokenness. Their reconciliation offers hope that family strife can be healed and that God can bring beauty from conflict. If you found this story inspiring and want to explore the rich lives of other biblical characters, consider subscribing to Bible Character Stories. Each character in the Bible teaches us unique lessons of faith, resilience, and God's love. Join us as we journey through these timeless stories, finding guidance and inspiration for our own lives. Don't forget to hit subscribe and embark on this faith-filled adventure through Scripture.